So today I'm going to talk about the three most important lessons I have learned in my 20s that have helped me grow in my career exponentially. Lesson number one, say yes first and learn later. Now I'm going to demonstrate this point with a little story. When I had just moved to New York to start my degree, as any other student, I was supposed to take up a part-time job as a student admissions guide. Now, one of the most important but optional aspects of that job was to act as a campus tour guide for potential students and their parents who were considering joining that university. Now, one fine day, one fine afternoon, while I was at my work, I was at my job, my senior co-worker comes up to me and says, Ipsita, there's this campus tour that's going to happen today and we don't have anybody to do it. Can you be the substitute? And my first reaction was, of course, absolutely not. Because, when you are in that position as a campus tour guide, you're in a very high stakes situation. You have to be prepared because what you say and how you conduct that campus tour is going to be a major influencing factor in the decision making, in the potential candidate's decision of either joining the university or not. So naturally, my first reaction, internal reaction, was absolutely not. But then I stopped myself in my steps and I thought, you know what, let me say yes first and I'll learn how to do it later. I'll figure it out. Figure outability. I love this word because it's one of the words that have pretty much dictated a lot of my life. If I don't know something, I say yes first and then I learn later. Now, what ended up happening is that tour went phenomenally well, to my own surprise. And in that hour that I actually guided the people, that I guided the potential students and their parents across the campus, I acquired three critical skills. The first was the skill of small talk, how to make small talk with strangers. The second skill was how to present any information in an attractive way, in a way that is attractive to other people, that can actually influence their decisions. And the third and the most important one was how to keep a crowd together. Now, those three skills went on to become one of my most important trio of skills that I have in my professional career, because I do a lot of public speaking now at this stage, and that was in some shape or form the beginning of that mastery. Lesson number two, actively seek discomfort. Now, what do I mean by that? That sounds strange. Why should I seek discomfort, Ipsita? Well, if you have the choice between being comfortable and not learning anything versus being uncomfortable and learning something out of it, I will always urge you to choose the latter. By the way, when I was struggling in my own closest relationships, I wish somebody gave me what I'm about to show you. I created India's first conflict resolution card game called Let's Fix It. It is a conversational tool that you can use to solve fights and conflicts with your loved ones. Relationships are like puzzles, and each fight reveals a missing piece. And most people avoid fights thinking that fights are going to damage relationships, when in reality, fights don't damage relationships. A lack of repair damages relationships. And Let's Fix It is your repair tool. It helps you create stronger bonds. It helps you solve fights and build stronger emotional bonds, and to make your relationships bulletproof. Now, Let's Fix It is available at beingbeyond.in and on Amazon. Now, back to the video. Early on, I really admired this brand strategist based in New York while I was studying. So I decided to send him a message and reach out saying that, hey, I love your work. I've been a big admirer of the way that you work. Can I help you with something in return of you teaching me this? To my surprise, to my delight, he did agree, but there was one catch. I was required to write a script in the next 12 hours, shoot it the next morning, and then deliver it in the next 24 hours with the edit. So as a newbie, that was quite frankly a lot for me. But I chose to seek discomfort. I chose to say yes. This is again an offshoot of lesson number one, which was say yes and then learn later. But this was to actively seek discomfort in return of learning. So what happened is right after we got off that chat, I quickly wrote down 3 scripts and went to sleep. The next morning, 8 a.m. This was, by the way, Christmas in New York. And if you've been there or if you have an idea of the weather, what it is like, it's brutally cold. I remember I woke up and went to Times Square. That's where we were going to shoot. And I remember shooting the video, holding the phone camera, and my hands were freezing and I had to keep doing this throughout to keep them warm and to keep them functional. So after we shot 3 to 4 videos. I went back home, edited all of them, and delivered everything under 24 hours. And that went on to become one of his most viral videos even today. But the whole idea behind this story being this lesson, being that if you have the choice to seek discomfort, to go after discomfort, and there's learning promised at the other end of it, that's where you go. Because you're not always going to have favorable conditions to learn. And in fact, it's quite ironic that the most or the maximum amount of learning that you're going to have is in uncomfortable situations. Lesson number 3, and the final lesson, is to learn how to summon your skill, your talent at will. Now, I'm going to demonstrate this point with a little story again. Now, this was one of my earlier TED Talks, and I remember this TED Talk was finalized at the very last minute between today and the day of the talk, so I had very little time. I was rushed. When I reached the night before the talk, I started feeling a little uneasy, and what started as a little feeling of uneasiness quickly turned into a full-blown migraine for me. And I suffer from migraines, and if you've had migraines, you know how bad they are. You cannot quite literally think straight. You can't think straight, you can't do anything, you can't go back to sleep, you can't look at light. There's so many different torturous angles to a migraine-like headache. Well, I tried to go back to sleep, and I just had a fight with somebody at home, with somebody I love at home. And I kept waking up to some noise outside my window the entire night, 20 times that night. Just what was a mild migraine, before I went to bed, had turned into a 10x worse migraine by the time that I woke up. And I didn't have my medicine on me, so I had to call up the reception and ask for the medicine. All of these things, like too much going on right before my talk. And I just remember thinking, like, how am I ever going to get this done? How am I ever going to give this talk? Well, anyway, I had to give it. There was no option. There was no choice. So I started getting ready, and I took the medicine. I started getting ready, started getting into my element. And I remember right before walking onto the stage, backstage, I remember telling myself, it does not matter that you have a migraine. It does not matter that you're unwell. It does not matter what you went through last night. The audience here, once you walk onto that stage, it's you and your audience. The audience there is waiting for you to talk. The audience there is there to learn something today, and you need to show up. So I don't know from where, I just summoned all my skill and I took it with me onto that stage, and that ended up being one of my best TED Talks ever. The point that I'm trying to make with this last lesson, lesson number 3, you cannot wait for favorable conditions to summon your skill, to summon your talent, or to show your talent. A true master of any skill is somebody who can summon their talent, their skill at will, even under the most uncomfortable circumstances. I hope this video was helpful. I hope these 3 lessons were as helpful to you as they were for me, and I'll see you in the next video.